Welcome to my Sorare Journey, episode 108, where things are finally starting to click in place, I think. Let me explain, but in order to explain, we need to go back to the very start to explain my sort of mindset, where I was at on Sorare. Now, obviously, I spent a lot of money on my Premier League cards, and we got off to an alright start, We clutched up for the first hot streak, which was 5 times multiplied. 5x of hot streaks. I think that's $100 we won, but most importantly, kept that streak going where I think at the end of it, if you got all 5, there'd be a 20 grand prize. In top of that, we had the contender cards not doing so well. Champion, we realised how hard that was going to be and got off to a pretty bad start. So it wasn't fantastic. We move on to the next Premier League week, and it got worse. Cole Palmer getting injured in the warm-up just sort of summed it all up, especially with, Pickford saving a penalty. Did it really matter? Probably not, because Ain't Norrie, didn't put up a good performance against Spurs, but on paper I really thought it was going to win. But it was fine, because we had the outsiders, Michael Keane, Iwobi, Paulinho, ripping scores when I didn't expect it. And the punch to the gut. Our star card, Florian Wirtz, put up a 35. Fine, he might not have got a decisive, but a 35. And it just set such a negative mindset of how bad the start is going to be. Have I picked the wrong players? Have I wasted all this money? Why is everything going against me? Because even in contender, 100 from the captain, and all we needed is either one of these players to get on the pitch, and both DNP. Along with that, champion, very limited success, 100 essence for what is practically 12 star cards. It's just it wasn't fun. Moving on, we tried to pick up the pieces, and it's just not happening. We knew this week would be a bit harder than the others because our star cards, we do have Liverpool attackers against Arsenal. That was going to be tough. Ain't Norrie, Brighton away. You'd expect him to do better than 20, but whatever. And maybe Bruno could drag us out of it with a big score against Burnley. But unfortunately not. So we're in the space now where, again, the contender cards haven't done well. The Premier League cards haven't done well. And it's really getting a bit negative. So as we transition on to an international week, we're trying to bring the vibes back. We pay 1,000 essence to enter this competition, and Timber is on the bench. Now, I'll hold my hands up here and say, this is on you. A, you are playing for vibes, not for returns. And B, you could have entered these cards knowing their lineup. Obviously, there's 2 types of arenas. One that you enter pre-match and one that you enter after sort of seeing their lineups. Now, this second option, in my opinion, is pretty pointless unless all your games kick off at pretty much the same time, which never really happens in the Premier League or Champion. But this week, obviously, they would have, because they're all internationals except for Brazil, but Alisson was always guaranteed to play. So, the vibes were low when the players aren't playing, and you blame yourself. So, outside of that, I sort of felt that these previous game weeks, I was making the right choices. This one sort of picked itself, but, here, captain in Palmer. Now, I know he didn't play, but I just feel that still is the right choice. It's hard to argue you've made the right choice when you've hit none of the streaks. If you change players around, they would have hit it. But you've got to be realistic and look at the fixtures and look, was there any chance that I swap, Paulinho and Cole Palmer? That was never a possibility. But I sort of thought to myself that, yes, things aren't going well, but you're making good choices. You're making, over the long run, statistically, the right choices. Now, you can call it confirmation bias if you think that. I'm telling you, that's what I thought. So rolling through the internationals, we're not really too bothered. This is nice to pick up 100 essence on, something we didn't plan for. Maybe a bit of XP gained as well. Except in the next week where the negativity is peaking at this point. Like, can it get much worse than your captain in an 11-game win scores 1 extra point? He basically completed a couple passes. 11 goals they scored. 11 goals playing right wing. And it's not even like he does nothing. You know, for Norway, he's put up some massive scores. Anyway, obviously I wasn't incredibly bothered because it's an international week, but for this particular team, it was hard for players just to get a full team out. You know, you can see that by getting 460 points and me getting 100 essence. So, vibes were low, the negativity was creeping in, and I was just at the point of like, sort of regretting everything. You know, at the start of the season, I wasn't sure if I was going to play Sorare this season. Then I got caught up in the hype. I was so happy, loved building my teams. And at the end of this international break, I was just like, why'd you do that? You've already lost a lot of money. So, to have the smallest glimmer of hope and a positive game week, it feels great. Some of you like this. Well, a lot of you seem to like this when I'm just more relatable to how the real experience is going on Sorare. And, you know, you've seen the lows, and this isn't a big high at the same time. I've not won. It's just ticking over a bit better. So we have this championship team. We didn't really enter, you know, too much interest in it. It was very low priority. But Premier League-wise, 75th place in Division 1, but most importantly, we're back on the hot streaks. They are still 2x as well, so we're getting $40. And again, it's sort of just good decision making. Everyone would captain the Liverpool attackers here. You know, everyone would have Salah and Wirtz, and then probably Robinson in for Van Dijk, because Burnley are awful. Liverpool are going to score so many goals, and that has a potential to happen. You know, that could have easily happened yesterday. But statistically, what's more likely to happen is that Van Dijk rips a huge score, whether they win 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, or even in a 0-0, he would have put up pretty much the same score. You know, because all he needs to do is dominate possession, then he's at the heart of everything, creating chances, having that high line. Yes, I got unlucky. You look at this team, I picked up some fantastic bargains, I've got 2 clean sheets for my keepers, and I got a DNP. And this DNP really sucked, because obviously, at the time, I didn't know I'd hit my hot streak. But why is the captain, who's fit, who's played minutes, who's rested the whole internationals, not even got on the pitch? He was 60% likely to start, fine. But in my head, he was 90% likely to just play. And if he plays, he's going to be himself, put up a big score. It just didn't happen. But that doesn't matter, because most importantly, captaining Van Dijk, having Fernandes in the team, which, shout out to whoever in the last video just said, I don't know why you keep talking about a midfielder, Fernandes is fixture proof. I think I replied to it like, yeah, what am I doing? Because it just sort of woke me up to the fact that if I could go out and get Enzo Fernandez, or if I could go out and get McAllister, who I was seriously debating buying because I had that sort of money, but it'd leave me a bit weak in other areas, not sure I'd pick them over Fernandez away. He lost 3-0. He's put up a 67. He is an absolute cheat code. United are awful. Imagine if they're not. You know, that's the sort of mindset I was going into this season on, you know, Sorare with. United aren't good. I expect them to be good. Now, the expect them to be good hasn't happened, but it doesn't matter because Fernandes is still ripping scores even without that. So, that went well. The rest of the teams, we're now in a Division 3 team that's getting promoted. Now, this is not a big scoring team, you know, 324 points. You know, if I was in Division 2, it would have done nothing. Maybe get relegated, I'm not sure. But it's not just the results. I suppose it is the results. But it's going back to sort of where I make my best decisions, which is playing on a budget and sort of finding underrated options. James Garner, 79 points against Aston Villa. I picked him up. You can't see it there. But I picked him up for £36. £36, probably in one of these here. There you go. £36 3 days ago. Because I was looking for that midfielder, because I needed one to put that third team out. And I'm looking like 60, no decisive action. 70 with a decisive action, so he's got chances to get them. 45, okay, that's a bad game. 58, but 45 is your bad games. Like, I know on a long term, 48 isn't great, but he wasn't playing every minute there. When he's playing every minute, 50 or 53, that's a much better score. Now, I'm not saying he's a Bruno Fernandes or must buy. It's just like, when I'm competing on a budget, I almost feel like I'm better. Like, if I had a season-long goal and you just gave me £1,000 and everyone else in the division had £1,000, I feel like I'd do a lot better. Where, this season I've gone for stars immediately. I went Palmer, Fernandes, Pickford. Maybe you could class Ait Nori in there, and obviously Wirtz. And the reason I did that is because they're so unattainable later in the game. Because you'll spend all your money, you'll have all these squads, but it's the stars that you'll want. You'll trade up for them and you lose 20%. So I thought, if I can get the stars in early and then build the depth later, that's how I'd prefer to do it. And I'm still happy with that decision. I just feel like I'm better at bargain hunting than I am picking star cards. Because the star cards, they're stars. There's not really too much to gain. But, if I'd picked the £36 option, keep in mind this is for rare, that wasn't James Garner, he's probably not playing. He's probably putting up 10 points, So, you can look down and say like, Nico Williams didn't pop a good score. He's not for this week. That's why he's in Division 3. Even my selections here, I'm really happy with. You'd be looking at Paulinho and saying, why do you not play him over Michael Keane against West Ham? For me, a decision you might say I got wrong, but that's exactly what I was trying to do. I always speak about sort of attacking and defending on Sorare, which, if you've not watched before, wouldn't really make sense, but it's about being risky and trying to win, and potentially, the downside of that, or just playing it safe and just trying to pick up a little bit of rewards. This team probably wasn't good enough to, go too far. So the likelihood that Paulinho could be rested was quite high with Champions League football a couple of days later. Keep in mind he was rested first game of the season. So I'd rather have a guaranteed 49 than either a 61 or a DNP. So it's like, in this case, wrong. But I think if you drag that out over the season, that sort of mindset would work. I think. Maybe it'll make sense to you. So, even Cole Palmer, it's like, he had the option of getting 0. That was probably his most likely score, because if he didn't train on Friday, he wasn't being included in the squad. If they were winning the game, he's probably not coming on, or he's coming on for 10 minutes for a little bit of fitness. It was just the fact that they were losing. And even, putting him in this team was a good shout. I could have left him out. So the reason for the video is that if you are in a negative place, just keep trying to make the right steps. Keep evaluating your own performance. But don't just evaluate it on, I got 373 points. I'm awful. I missed my streak. I'm bad. You've got to look at the team and say, did you get the sort of fixture right? Did you think, Liverpool would only score 1 goal? Did you think it'd be a tight, contested game, low scoring against Aston Villa? Those sort of decisions are more important. If you're getting the football right, your players, and if you know their play styles, they'll sort of naturally come together. Now, there might have been another team that you've seen there, and this is actually a new idea I want to try. So you'll see in the description there's a way to support the channel, but you don't really get anything for it. And it's not a profit-making marketing scheme or anything like that. It's to support the channel if you enjoyed the content. But at the same time, it would be nice to give back to those that support the channel. So I've built a team specifically for those people, but you don't just have to contribute financially. How it's going to work is that if you do donate to the channel, minimum £1, I'm not sure how long it'll get you entered, but all the rewards will go to one person for that week. So say at the minute 4 people have contributed and donated to the channel, which I love. Those 4 names will be in a draw to win that game week. Then the next game week they'll be in the draw again, and the next game week the draw again. Like I said, I don't know if that'll last all season because you donated once. We'll see how it goes. Depends how many people are donating, But the key is for me to build the team, for you to get the rewards. So you're enjoying what you're watching, you're supporting me, and I'm giving a little bit back, That's the concept behind it. And I appreciate not everyone can donate. So what I'm going to do is also add comments that I thought were insightful, that I liked, or maybe I just draw them at random, because it's about supporting my content, Doesn't have to be financially. Just watching is so important. But obviously I can't see who watches every video. So, if people just drop a comment, then that sort of has always supported, and everyone knows it, and that's, constant people supporting with comments. So I'll go through and pick 2 comments, I think, for my last videos that I really liked, and I just appreciated reading. What people don't see is how much time how much time and stuff goes into these videos, because you just see the 10 minutes or 20-minute video, but there's a lot more to it, and I've been doing it for a long time, and I've got a full-time job. So when someone does just comment something nice or something insightful, it's really helpful. It's really nice to read, and of course you get knobheads that write the most disgusting things, and you're just like, I'm just trying to have a bit of fun, mate, relax, So let me draw some comments that I liked. So my Ko-Fi link is in the description. You'll see Sean, Hershey and DubFC have all donated, so they're in the draw. In addition, I'll go to my last video where Adam Golden, Fernandez is fixture proof. I don't know why you worry about his fixtures. That comment has probably saved me some money and just helped me refocus on, what the best selection is. So I hope that kills you on So Rare. I liked James Bann's comment. Obviously I liked all of them, but I love the way you documented in the video, the way you did with the enthusiasm, optimism, and the start and the end. We've also added a surprise guest, Luka Stojin. I've absolutely butchered your name. Sorry, mate. But on my Discord of the Simpletons, we did Who Knows the Most about the Premier League. We did a knockout competition from game week 1 to now. There's some stipulations. We'll try and do more of these challenges and giveaways. And I don't always have the money where I can go out and just, give away a card every week. But entering them in the draw sounds right. And I'm also away this weekend, so we're going to do the next 2 draws. So, if you look at my Premier League team for next week, it is going to be a limited lineup, and I think it's looking pretty good. We're going to start with Big GG. Now this might change as I do my rare teams, but I think we're going to be looking and pretty much playing the same team every week. That's going to be tough. But the team we built basically is this, but with Lewis Hall for when he's fit as well. So we've got options if someone gets injured, and it's just sort of City, you can play against anyone, and then Forest. Of course, we're going to have, depth options when, we've built the Premier League teams in rare and they can drop down. I think I used one of the defenders this week maybe. But unfortunately, we're still in Division 3. I didn't pick anyone for this week because I knew it wasn't going to win anything. But the first game week will be drawn. They'll win whatever awards come from this. And obviously, they might not win anything if I don't win anything. But once you donate, there'll be at least a couple of months where every week you're getting drawn. So the first week, who is going to be the potential winner? Top FC. Or is it James? The main man. He is always there supporting, so it's good to get him off to a flying start. Hopefully the City Forest combo can do something. And the week after, I don't know how the teams will look, but you'll know which one is the next Premier League week. The winner of that will be drawn immediately. Oh, Adam Golden. So he was the one that helped me with Fernandez, if I remember correctly. So WFC, next Premier League week, the week after that, Adam Golden. If I win anything from that sort of team, it'll be going to you guys. So thank you so much for supporting. Means a lot. Hope you're enjoying the videos. If we do flick back to the Champions League week, we'll take a look. And this particular team, I'm liking the look of. I think you can get carried away with just the 90%. I never focus on the Champions League just because, I don't know, I just feel it. This new structure, there's always one really dominant team playing a really weak team, and it's those sort of stacks that do really well, and then vice versa, you know, in other weeks those stacks would just be playing really hard teams. So it'll be a team like Madrid that just pop off and they get all the rewards typically. But now you got 7 cards, maybe it won't work. I also get a 3% bonus for having only 2 teams. This also has a good shot. Something's happened with Trent. I do actually have depth to swap him out. We'll see why he's so low. I think because he didn't start the weekend. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone for watching. It looks like the bricks are being built, the hot streaks are live again, and hopefully we can keep them going. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. All the best. Cheers.